weather alert today. I don't know if you heard that. That was I think that was a hype. Yeah, that was a clap.
Woo! Turn
Chris
it
Mulcahy,
up.
give him a clap. Chris Mulcahy is here. This is the first time we've
I know. I'm
done
pumped.
this here.
I knew that you were doing it this week during this time frame that I'm here. I was just like, all right, I need some Nick time. Which, by the way, I'm from Boston, so that transition.
Okay.
A man from Boston here in the Carolinas.
Did I say Massachusetts right?
Yes, you did. You
Okay.
nailed it.
No, because this is years ago when I was working in Georgia. I know this is a little tangent, guys, but like I was doing some story and it had to relate to Massachusetts, and the viewer said he said it wrong.
No,
And
you
so
nailed
I've been
it.
kind of self-conscious about it.
Most people mess it up to the point that it almost sounds like they're swearing. I'm just going to leave it at that. So you did a great job. my friend.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
you nailed it, dude.
Enough about my life. Let's
Okay.
get to the forecast.
And enough about Massachusetts. That's the wrong area. All right, let's go to the mountains, y'all. All right, let's talk about the rain. We're going to learn a lot today. We're going to learn about the forecast. We're going to talk about this wet and wicked pattern. But then we're also going to raise your weather IQ, because guess what? That's what we do here on WCNC. Let's move on. App State right now, you can see that damp road. Rain now starting to lighten up a little bit. And I want to kind of give you the tour of the Charlotte area. Check it out, Dallas, one of my favorite cameras. This is where we're about 1,500 feet up in the atmosphere. This is a great vantage point to sometimes literally have your head in the clouds. But I want to transition over here into the Concord area right here around Charlotte Motor Speedway. You're seeing a little bit of blue sky, but you're also seeing a darkening sky. So what this is for a meteorologist showing that, all right, starting to juice things up a little bit. As long as you have the darker cloud bottom, that really shows that, hey, now we're starting to condense some things, and it's going to be a prime time deal for us to see a little bit more rain and scattered thunderstorms. So the main window of opportunity we're seeing here is between about 1 and 8. I'm going to be honest with you. This is not the best severe weather chance that I've seen, but we do have a chance for thunderstorms, do have a chance for some gusty winds, and even some hail. I think the hail threat has come up a little bit, mainly just to see it. The last time that we really had a severe chance here around the Charlotte area was April 11th, and we had some pea-sized hail. People were sending videos all in. Even though that isn't a big deal as far as it's affecting us, it's always cool to see hail, in my opinion. It's not cool when it's up to an inch in diameter, and that's what the Storm Prediction Center is saying. Hey, by the way, some of those hailstones could hurt and also damage your car. So as soon as hail is 1 inch in diameter, the size of a quarter, that's where it could dent your car, damage some siding. What actually happened last year, if you remember it, and here, I'll bring your mics up, guys. Do you remember the hail event in Rock Hill last year?
I was
Sure
here
do,
working.
yep.
I was here working.
You were here working?
Yeah.
It was right around this time of year last year. So the reason why this time of year is so bad for hail is it's about a freezing level. So up above our heads, during the wintertime, of course, it's much lower. During the summertime, it's much higher. There's going to be a level that temperatures drop down below freezing. So we're going to raise your weather IQ. For one, today, we don't have a big risk for hail. This is a new model that I was working with. It's called your significant hail parameter. So what this does is whenever there is any sort of coloration, you got a chance for hail. When you start to see those darker blues, it's showing a little higher chance. So it looks like some of these cells potentially could lead to that. But how hail forms is all about kind of an up-down nature. So what happens here is you have this one water droplet. It's uplifted what's called an updraft. Every thunderstorm is an updraft. That's that rising moist air. It goes up and down. Up and down. When it goes above the freezing line, it freezes. When it drops down below, water droplets stick to it, and then it goes up and freezes. Eventually, it gets too heavy and it's going to fall. But that's the reason why, for larger hailstones, if you cut it open, it actually looks like the rings of a tree, because that's each period that it spends above the freezing line and drops down below. Now, the stronger the updraft, the stronger the thunderstorm. Usually the taller it's going to be. Sometimes you can have updrafts up to 100 miles per hour. That can support up to baseball-sized hail. This case, I'm only talking about little guys. So when that gets too heavy, of course, it's going to bloop, fall. So today we have that type of environment because it's a little bit cooler. We have that freezing level. It's a little bit lower. I already saw some signs of some hail up in the mountains, but nobody lived there, so there's no reports unless we have some mountain men that I can contact. But we're also starting to see a lot more thunder and lightning. The more thunder and lightning you have, the more unstable it really becomes. So we saw a little bit of thunder and lightning here. So thunderstorms, they're going to happen. That's one thing we've been struggling with, even trying to get thunder and lightning here for some of these systems. I think today that changes. So regardless, I think you're going to have a thunderstorm, as I mentioned, 1 to 8. So here's 1 o'clock. Here's 2 o'clock. Whenever there's an individual cell, one single storm, think about it. It's like when you have a plant growing. When there's a bunch of other plants, they can't thrive as much just because they're sharing the soil, they're sharing the sunlight, they're sharing everything there. When you have one single cell, that usually can become a little bit stronger and allows it to grow a little bit taller. Those are the ones you usually have to watch out. They could potentially rotate. They also have a better chance of providing hail. Once they start clustering together, it's a better chance for wind risk. That's why usually when you have a line of storms, it's more wind, you don't really have the hail. So I think if we are gonna see any hail, it's gonna be likely before 4 o'clock from these individual cells. But this model shows by 4, everything starts to glom together. That turns into what's called a multi-cluster system. So at that point, it's more widespread. Behind that, you usually have light to moderate rain. And then by about 6 to 8 o'clock, we're clearing things out. So it's a very low end severe risk, but if we are gonna see anything, I think it's really 2 to 5 across the Charlotte area that you have the stronger weather, the thunder and lightning. But the thing is, this is only round 1 of many. We could have maybe up to about a ½ inch, 3/4 of an inch, but notice this. Some areas seeing less than 500. So it's a tough forecast because it's really back and forth, back and forth. Some areas see a lot, some areas see a little, some see nothing at all. Any questions before we move forward?
Does this rain help as far as when it comes to the wildfires, McDowell County?
100%. One thing that's actually really helping is the time of year, getting more moisture in the air in general. Because before it was bone dry. Like literally getting a dry throat from that. So yeah, that's going to help. It's going to wet the soil. But seeing this in this rate is really nice because whenever you have a fire, then you have a risk of mudslides that we saw in California. So this is like a nice soaking that even though you might have a torrential downpour for a brief period, it's going to be just enough rain. The rain that they actually just saw in the mountains, perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, when you're talking about, when you see those darker greens for hours, that is all the recipe to
It was
cure
just
drought.
enough, right?
Just enough.
Okay.
Pretty much, think about it like the baby bear's porridge of rain.
Okay.
Yeah, so just right, everything's good. But that's the best thing that we have, Nick, is because rolling tape, we're going to see more of these rain chances because our rainfall chances scattered today, scattered tomorrow, likely on Thursday, scattered on Friday, scattered on Saturday, and then spotty Sunday, Monday. The model's just updated, so that means that it's showing probably like a 2% chance of rain. Ignore that. It's going to be dry on Sunday and Monday. So whenever we say scattered, by the way, that's a rain percentage. So whenever scattered is on the screen or we say that, that means about 30 to 50% of the viewing area is going to see storms. When we say likely, it's over half, about 60 to 80%. I think roughly about half of us will see storms and heavy rain. The other half will barely see anything at all. But as we go forward, I want to show you exactly the setup we have. Wednesday looks to be pretty weak sauce compared to what we saw earlier. I think most of the activity, you can see really closely that line down towards the south and west. Most of the activity looks like it stays south closer to Columbia. You could have some scattered showers and storms, but it looks like more late day heading into the evening we have activity. But watch Thursday. You don't have too much going on, but then all of a sudden you just have these storms bubble up and then they exhaust themselves and they just kind of drift and dance around. That's that stationary front. So we have this front that's just trapped right over us. That's why we have so many rain chances. So if I were to pick the day that has the most rain, it's Thursday because you got some slow movers. And at this point, this is really where we set the stage of what's happening next because we have more rain chances that are going to Thursday night into Friday. The areas that see the most rain up to Thursday, if they get any more on Friday and Saturday, now we're talking about a flash flood risk because we keep our storm chances around for Friday and Saturday. So if you go into the Charlotte FC game, there's a lot of big question marks where that storm system's going to settle in. But regardless, we have mid-70s on Sunday and Monday with dry conditions. So
does the heat factor into these storms sort of popping up?
Yeah, it depends. Yeah, so it's actually the moisture more than anything. So today you're going to notice it's a little bit stickier than it has been. So that's the main driving force. Whenever you have a dew point over 60, and that's where we're at, you can feel it. When it's above 65, it's humid. When it's at 70, you're like, oh, this is terrible. But we're on that lower end, so it's enough storm fuel. It's really the front, Nick. So we have a front that's wedging in, so that drives up the heat and moisture, and those are the three things that usually lead to storms.
And for folks, we got a lot of new people here in the area, here in the North Carolina. This is typical North Carolina April weather, right? So,
Yeah, and then what we move on from is the pop-up showers and thunderstorms after a hot day, and those are the ones that really get you, because what happens is it's so hot and humid that it's almost too hot and humid for the storms to rise up. Once that cap breaks, just like opening up a shaken bottle of soda, they burst, and those are the ones that surprise you because all of a sudden you're fine, and then it's a torrential downpour to end your day. But today, at least, it's a little bit more predictable. But when you have a front that drapes over the area like this, you could see hours of rain, days of rain. But as of right now, it looks to be just right so far.
there it is, our man Chris Mulcahy. This is our first time doing this in the studio.
Man.
I hear it when I'm in the morning meetings. I'm like, man.
You get jealous?
I do get jealous.
Does,
I'm
yeah.
like, y'all are having so much fun in here.
Yeah, and Nick and I have seen each other a bunch of times in crossing, good conversations. Sometimes we would tape some things like in between the noon, but now it's even less, man.
Yeah.
I literally am like leaving pretty much right when you're arriving, but we had this moment. I'm off tomorrow, but let's do it again Thursday.
You're off tomorrow?
Yes.
Why?
Okay.
No. I knew you were going to ask. I'm joking. Don't answer that question.
I'm also off Friday, and I will tell you the reason why is because I'm a huge NFL draft fan, and I go to work at 2:30, so I purposely took Friday off so I could watch the magic happen, pick 1 through 32.
Oh, hold on. Okay, don't tell me. I know your team. I think I know your team.
Let's see.
Use context clues here. It's easy.
Yeah. Where did I say I was from?
But no, okay, the Patriots, but I thought it was another team. Okay.
Oh, I know where you're saying that.
Okay.
I married into the Cincinnati Bengals.
Okay, that's okay because
Yes.
I'm thinking back to our conversation during the Olympics because we had a lot of stuff together during the Olympics.
All right. Well, admittedly, I can talk about the Bengals more than the Patriots because the Patriots are what you throw out into the garbage bin recently. So it hasn't been.
You know who else is a Patriots fan? Or not
Nick
Patriots?
Carboni.
Not a Patriots fan. I'm sorry. Scratch that. Bengals fan.
Oh.
My nephew. I bring him up from time to time.
Oh, really?
He's a band. I love him, but he's a bandwagger.
Probably Joe Burrow.
No,
Joe Cool?
no. Jamar Chase.
Oh, Jamar Chase. Now the Triple Crown winner?
Oh man. But you know where my allegiance stands and will always stand. The Panthers.
Yeah, I can't say anything as a Patriots fan.
No, you know, look, you can't be good forever.
That's
and so
true.
it comes in waves, it comes in cycles. Like the Panthers we had our time in the early 2000s, the early 2010s. And then we dipped off. And so we will have our time again. And, look, the Patriots will have their time again. They have a really good quarterback.
Thank you. Yep.
North Carolina's own.
I know.
So,
homegrown.
Look, you're feeling something special there.
And I know that I'm bringing us off on like the sports tangent, but
That's fine.
I think it's cool. I absolutely love the script that's being written here in the Carolinas for the Panthers because the way that we benched Bryce, he came back and showed that he is better than we thought he was, and that he had a better end of the season than C.J. Stroud that everyone was comparing him to. I think that there's a lot of hope here. Beefed off the offensive line.
Yeah.
Now, if we don't do any significant improvements this year, I can't help us. But I think there's a lot of hope here in the Carolinas, and I think that 8th pick is going to be vital from where we go. So
I feel it in my bones. Look,
feel it?
I look.
I can't. That's what it looks like.
I look. No shame here. Teared up a little bit. I saw like a compilation video at the end of the season. It was like, what was this? I'm coming home.
Oh, yeah.
I'm coming. And it was kind of like highlights of Bryce's up and down, year down, and then went up. I was like, that's my quarterback, man. It's my quarterback, man.
Seriously,
Proud of that guy.
It's one of the great, and I know you never gave up on it.
Never gave up.
No, you never did.
I'm a loyal fan. I took the criticism in the morning meetings.
Oh yeah, you did.
I
saw
sat
that.
there, y'all
Yeah,
were
you
witnesses.
did.
I sat there.
We clowned you a little bit.
I sat there like a champ. I
Bryce,
said, hey.
if you're watching WCNC Plus, this man was
Had your
always
back.
been at your back.
And
man.
Bryce, if you would love to sit down with us here,
Come on
in. This is a safe space, great conversation. You're invited. You're welcome in.
Well, and I think that this is a good lesson for life too.
Yeah.
That,
Yep.
When you are just thrown with so much pressure on you, sometimes you don't perform at your best. So in life, so many people say you got to pivot. No, you need to call a timeout and reset. And that's exactly what they did. So in life, sometimes when you feel the world on your shoulders, take a timeout, reset, and that's where you can achieve your greatness. And I think that's what Bryce Young's doing right now.
Nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's great advice. Not only do you get a forecast, you get some advice from Chris Mulcahy. That's the man right there.
I appreciate it, y'all. I love
Thank
being
you for
here.
your time. Let's give it Chris Mulcahy. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
reach
you.
across, man.
Look, boom. All right, so we were talking about sports, NFL Draft Special with Locked On, Thursday, April 24th, 7 p.m., only on WCNC. Plus, make sure you download it to your TV and watch for free. I was checking the mock draft, and I was a little disappointed. Not really. I thought I was going to be right. I thought the mock draft was going to say Jalen Walker,
That's what I
linebacker.
have.
But NBC Sports says Mike Green, edge rusher from Marshall. Do you know who that guy is?
No.
Okay. All right. Well,
No idea.
according to them, he's an
No.
athletic pass rusher who is a nightmare for tackles. And despite being 250 pounds, he's stout against the run.
Ooh.
So, might be a good upgrade. Look, if it's a good upgrade, I'm for it. I'm not big on names these days. Just be a good player.
I don't know. Like, this is also a thing that it's a weird spot, but McMillan, great wide
Yeah.
receiver, is
Yeah.
also around there.
Arizona, yeah.
Also, I always mess up his name, Ashton Gentry.
Yeah, Genty. Yep.
Generational talent,
Running back, yeah.
but you have Chuba Hubbard, so like
You know,
they're in
yeah.
a really weird spot that.
Travis Hunter, maybe?
No way.
I know, no
No,
way.
Patriots are taking him if anything.
Abdul Carter, maybe?
No, he's
way.
going to the Giants. No way.
I mean, you don't need a
I
quarterback.
appreciate your optimism.
I
man.
look, I have to
Sometimes
be.
you gotta be a realist. Though.
Yeah. It's hard to be a realist, but it's fun being an optimist. So
I agree, 100%.
There you go. All right. So where are we headed next, Harleen? Where do you want to go?